This is an advice, yeah, from an expert, yeah, named Alan Cooper, a software designer and programmer with many years of experience. So he said that if we want users to like our software, we should design it to behave like a likable person. Yeah, to behave like a likable person, your software. Yeah, so it has to be able to respect people. Yeah, it has to be generous and helpful. Yeah, if you can create something like that, people will like your software. Yeah, but make sure it doesn't miss any of the important function lah kan. Otherwise tak boleh jadi juga kan. Okay, so this is what will happen today. Yeah, so the content for today, from analysis to design model. So this is some important principle that you have to understand, because you have conducted project during SRS class. So it's actually part of it is actually producing the analysis models, right? So those analysis models are the things that you put inside your SRS, and it will be that they all will be your reference or your input for this design process. Okay, so we want to know from this topic, yeah, we will discuss that how those analysis models can be used as the input for the design models. Okay, so you have to understand that part, because that are the things that you will do, yeah, for your assignment. And then we go to expected quality in your design product. It's not about your software, it's about your design. It's about the drawing that you drawn. It's about the document that you produce. It's about the information that you produce during the design process. Yeah. So what are the quality that we expected from that? And then we have, I'll give you some guidelines on design, but this is something that you can read on your own. Yeah, it's just like a simple theory, so you can read. And then we'll have practice. Yeah, we'll continue practice with the my amazing calculator. Remember, okay? So we'll continue with that practice before we end class. Yeah. Okay. So simply explain something starting from there, and then end up with great software, hopefully. Yeah, so what happened in the middle? Yeah, usually what happened in the middle before you can produce great software? So we have lots of things happen. Yeah, we go and find the requirements, do analysis, and then we build the models, everything. We write the SRS, then we send to the design, and then design put everything on the architecture design, detail design, everything. Developer take all of them, the design, and make it a reality. And hopefully, at the end, it will be a great software. Okay, but can you differentiate between design models and requirements models? Yeah, requirements model, also known as analysis models. Yeah, okay, so what happened in the middle there? If we take example from your seniors, yeah, you can say that it's precedented case, right? So what things that happened was, they just built the software. They got some idea, they just built the software. Yeah, so and then when they present to the supervisor or during the teaching, the FYP1 teaching, usually they will get lots of comments. Yeah, so for those who did not actually conducted the requirements process well, usually we get lots of we don't say bad comment, you can say like they get comment generously, yeah, because too much comments. So what you can do to avoid that, yeah, to happen to you, is to do the requirement process, yeah, during the FYP1. Yeah, okay, so at least when you do that software requirement process, then you will understand what what about the software that you want to build. Yeah, you really dig in, yeah, all the information needed, so you will make sure that nothing is missing. So whenever people give you advice or give you suggestion, you know how to fit it in, or you know whether you should keep that advice or keep that suggestion, or you can just ignore. Yeah, because you already know what you want to do. The problem is when when people doing their FYP1, usually they don't really know about the software that they want to build. Usually they'll just follow one or two examples that they have seen before or they have heard before. The problem is even worse when they didn't actually take a look at the existing system before they proceed, because from the existing system you can get lots of ideas. Yeah, you can get lots of things that you want to improve on that existing system or application. Yeah, but what happened was those people just create the software just like however they like, and what happened was it's really bad, uh, not at par compared to the existing system. So you can say that in terms of value, mm, it's it's bad. It's not quite bad, but it's bad. Yeah. So I hope you are not among those people that do things like that. Yeah. So you should know from the requirement. You gather all the information. Remember that how I asked you, I urge you, yeah, to do the requirements process where you have to do the analysis, find example of software, find example of the existing documents, yeah, find the stakeholders. I think you still remember, right? Yeah. The process is not that difficult. I know it's tedious. Yeah, the process are tedious, but the things that you gain at the end is something that makes your life easier. Yeah, especially when it comes to FYP1. Yeah. So do you want to live your life much easier, confident with your project, or you still want to do the same thing like your seniors? It's up to you. We have given you guidelines, have guide you, but if at the end you still doing the same thing like the previous people that not that okay, so you can't say anything. You can't say anything. Yeah. Uh, Very disappointed, but it's up to you. Can just give you advice and guidelines, right? Okay, so I really hope that you can actually practice what I teach you. Yeah, I really hope that. But yeah, depends on the people, right? Okay, so back to the topic. How can you differentiate? Yeah, are there any differences or are they all the same? So we know that during requirement station analysis, I already emphasized that it's all about what. Yeah, what the system will do, what the user can do with the system, what are the constraints, what are the things that the developer is restrained from doing. So there are all the things that we can list, yeah, that we have listed during the SRS. Yeah, and then now we are in the design phase. We are now talking about how to make them all work. Yeah, how to make that function A to work so that when user is using your system, they can actually achieve their objective of why they are using that function. Yeah, so that's all about the design. Yeah, so compared between requirements and design is a bit higher level, not a bit, it's actually very high level. Yeah, because it requires, design is actually requires lots of knowledge. Yeah, not no lots of skills, whereas requirements, when it comes to analysis and modeling, yes, you have to have a bit higher of level of thinking. Yeah, but when it comes to collecting requirements, not that much. Yeah, the process is tedious at that time, but when it comes to analysis and modeling, if you know what you're doing, then it will be so structured and you can produce the models and all the tables easily, and then you can put them into the document. So the process in requirement, I would say it's not hard, but it's just tedious because it need time. Yeah, we have to put some effort to look for information. You have to contact people, you have to deal with people. Yeah, you have to deal with your group members. Yeah, kan. Okay, lepas tu so there are many things. It's more about people management and information management, right? But when it comes to design, we don't talk to stakeholders, to the user, yeah, but we only talk to the developer and also with the designer, especially with the designer from different aspect. Yeah, for example, we should have in our group member, if we have, yeah, so You have to bring in people that know a lot about the user interface, yeah, who are a bit creative, who has experience in coding, who has good drawing skills. So we have different expert in one group. We're supposed to have like that. But of course, you are in the same team. Maybe you are thinking, the way of your thinking maybe is alike, because due to your experience and also different background, right? So we can see similar background, yeah. So mm, it depends on the group members, yeah, whether they can actually contribute, yeah, to your project. Okay, so let's hope everything will be okay for you. All right. So the question is, are there any differences between design and requirements product? Are there? Ada ke? Hmm, ada ke? Any differences? Or are they all the same? Because some people say we have use case during requirements, we do have use case, maybe you have use case during design as well. So what do you say? Are there any differences? Ada perbezaan ke? Hmm? Ada perbezaan? Ke tak ada beza, sama je? Now it's already week 3. So do you have any idea about what are you going to do? Yeah. Ada mungkin, mana boleh jawab mungkin-mungkin macam tu. Confident lah. Ada ke tak ada? Ada? Tak ada? Ada. Ha, good. Macam tu lah. Mana boleh duduk atas tiang kan? Okay, ada. Okay, lagi? Seorang cakap ada, yang lain? Ada. Lepas tu sambung semua ada. Ha, kan? Saya dah kata dah. Okay, so of course there are differences, yeah, especially because they have different purpose, right? So they should have some differences, but the basic, yeah, the base diagram that we use, yeah, when it comes to detailed design, then there will be similarity lah. Yeah, because we can use the same class diagram, not the same, but something that we can improve, yeah, compared to the analysis models, where we can actually put in more information, yeah, or more detailed information. So but basically we are using the same diagram, yeah, similar, what say, the same diagram, the same name, but the content might be more advanced, something like that. Okay, so we will still have something like use case, but not to show the function. It's something different, for something different objective, yeah. And then we also have class diagram. We also have, instead of activity diagram, usually we have, we use sequence diagram. They both actually have the similar function, yeah. But when it comes to detail, and of course because we have different components, so it's better to use sequence diagram instead of activity diagram, yeah. But if you still want to use activity diagram, it's still okay, yeah, it's still okay, because they can be used for the same purpose, yeah, to show interaction between different components, right? Okay, so this is the analysis models. There are things that we have done in SRS. So hopefully you still remember. If you don't, so go back and find your notes. Yeah. And okay, so we go to the first one, domain models. Yeah, on the top. So domain models is something like what you provide to explain about the domain. Yeah. So usually we can talk about context diagram. Yeah, that's very general diagram, and then we have a good statement, which is domain statement, that can keep you focused on what you're doing, yeah, so you don't scope creep out from the domain that you're supposed to do. Okay, so you also did the vision, yeah, writing the vision and also goals, right? Okay, and then we have all the functional and non-functional requirements, yeah. Like previously I said that I'm not really keen on taking the term non-functional, because it sounds like it's not function, but I prefer to use the specific name, yeah, so like quality requirements, constraint requirements. Yeah, they are all actually under NFR, non-functional requirements. And also for functional requirement, if you still remember, there are three sub category of functional requirements, which they are all talking about the capability of the system. Yeah, for example, you can have functional, where what the user can expect, what they can do with the system. Yeah, what are the objectives that they want to achieve when they use the system. Yeah, for example, if they want to withdraw money, then they, at the end, they will get that. Yeah, objective achieved at the end. Okay, and then we have behavioral, where it's actually part of where the system can do some action, maybe in to respond to some activities, or maybe automatically to notify someone or something. Okay, so that is the behavior of the system. And also there are another part where the capability, where the system can actually keep some data. Yeah, so that's under structural model. Okay, so hopefully you can still remember that. And then we can go, when you talk about FR, we are going into more detail. So we have different diagrams, where for functional we can use like use case diagram, but of course we don't say use case diagram is a functional diagram, no. Yeah, but it can shows the function. Use case diagram can show the function, and also it can show the relationship between the actor and the task that they want to use, yeah, or they have to use. Also that you need to provide the use case description, yeah, because we want to tell people more about the function. But of course it also falls under kata detail, yeah, detail that explain detail about the functions, yeah, the step by step. Okay, and activity diagram can be considered as functional and also behavioral, yeah, because it shows the behavior of the system in under the steps, yeah, in the steps. And also it shows the functions, the name of the use case. Activity diagram, you can actually draw according each of the use case, one activity diagram, or you can also use one activity diagram to draw the whole process of the application, also can. Okay, so it depends on how you use that diagram, but remember that will depend on the name of the diagram. So it's up to you how you want to use it. The name will actually imply what the story will be inside your diagram, so people will understand what it is. But if you have different title, you said it's about the whole system, and then you just put 2 or 3, then that's not right. Yeah, so you have to be careful when you're drawing. Okay, what else? So structural model is class diagram, model diagram, yeah, and also relational database as well. And there are other important requirements for mentioned as well inside the SRS, that you have to provide, like the user classes, user access function classes, kan? So that is very important one. And we have user interface, etc, etc. All right, so I hope you still remember about that, all that. Because why? Because they are the things that you have to get to be the input for your design process. So see, this one tedious, so many things that you have to find, right? You have to create. But this one, not so much, not so much. But when it comes to detailed design, means there are lots of things happening there. Yeah. Okay. So in the design model, so these are the things that you will do, yeah, during uh, when you're conducting your design process. Yeah. So what we shall have. Yeah. So design model. When you say model, it's not just about diagram, right? So we can have like tables or tags. Like domain statement is also models, but that is analysis model. So we are talking about design model. So the first one is actually if you follow the flow, we will talk about software architecture first. Yeah, software architecture design first. So the ADV1. So that is the first step that we should do. The big picture of the design. What are the things that you should put inside your design can be represented by the ADV1. Alright, so that's your first step, your baby step, your first kick, yeah. Atau orang kata kick off kan. So ADV1. Alright, so when you have ADV1, then you can start refining the ADV1 to become ADV2. ADV2 means we just have to select which architecture pattern that you want to use to be the base in your decomposed application in ADV3, right? Harap ingat lah kan, minggu lepas pun sentuh kan. Okay, so from there, you have to refine the ADV3 so that it will become a refined version of ADV3. We don't call it ADV4. Yeah, it's still ADV3. It's just that we want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. We just want to refine it, so it's not going to be more detailed inside, but it's actually to see if we miss anything important. Yeah, so what are the things that we use to help us with the refining the ADV3 is design goals. Okay, so design goals is something that simple, so it's the quality attributes. Yeah, so from there you will identify which design goals that you actually have to make sure that your application has it. For example, if security, so what are the things in ADV3 that you have to put in, maybe if you haven't, so you have to put in that is related to that security. How can we achieve that design goal? So from there you have to go, and it's like asking lots of questions to yourself. Yeah, so now we have security, so what should I do with the database? Do I need to put something to make sure that it's very secure? There are the things that you will ask yourself, but don't worry, I'll give you the question so that you can ask yourself and find out what are the components needed so that people or the developer can achieve the design goal, yeah, when they build the system. Okay, and then from there, after you have finished refining the ADV3, then only can go to the detailed design. So that's what happened, perhaps maybe in week 8, yeah, week 9, yeah. So we don't have much time to do the detailed design, although detailed design is much more. There are lots more compared to software architecture design. There is only 4 diagrams, right? But the process to create the software architecture design is more, you have to be more careful, you have to be more detailed, yeah, because also you're new, yeah, to design, so you have to work on software architecture a little bit more compared to the detailed design. So detailed design is something that you have, some of them you have learned already, yeah, things like sequence diagram perhaps, yeah, so use case, a bit of use case, and then class diagram especially, yeah. So it can be divided into only two, yeah, component design and interface design. If you still remember, I have provided you with this last week, yeah. So these are the things that you will do, some of them, yeah, for the detailed design. We will not cover everything, yeah, for your project, because it's too many. So your SDD will be so thick if you complete everything. Yeah, so we're not going to do that because we don't have much time, but we will cover as much as we can. Yeah, depends on the time that we have. Okay. So this, I provide you this again because I forgot to put something about database design. Tak ada kan? Yang ada database interface design je, but the database design tak ada. So that is actually under internal structure. Yeah, if you can see that red text, so I forgot to put in one of the tinggal. Okay. So this is how we translate the requirements or analysis models into the design models. So the first thing first, domain models, that's very important. So you have to understand the domain of your application. Even if you get that project from someone else, so from different team, yeah, requirement team, so they give you one project. So you have to understand the domain model very well, yeah, before you can start design. It's just to make sure that you have put yourself on some basic or base ground so that you know that you're not going to somewhere else, yeah. Okay, so you have to understand domain models first, yeah. Domain model mean domain statement, your context diagram, etc. All the first chapter, chapter 1, yeah, of SRS. You have to know what you're going to do. And then quality will be transformed into design goal. So that's very simple actually. So I'll give you the list of design goal. You have your quality statements, right? Your quality requirements. Then you just have to find which design goal criteria or the quality attribute fall into. Yeah. So just pick any suitable design goal, and from there you will work on ADV 3, refining it when the time comes lah. Yeah. Okay, so architecture diagram design, what they need is almost everything beside the SRS. So meaning that you have to read the SRS thoroughly from the first page until the end before you can start your architecture design. Okay, because there are many important information throughout the document, yeah, the SRS document. So it might fall in the first chapter. There are also important things in the second chapter, and there are lots of things third chapter. So you cannot miss anything. You have to read the SRS thoroughly. So hopefully you have prepared your SRS that you want to bring in for your project. Dah siap ke? Dah ada ke? Have you actually update the version? Dah betul kan ke? Hmm? Sudah? Bagus. Okay, because you will start very soon. You start early, you can finish early with your design project. Yeah. Okay. Next, ni detail design, ya. The component design including class and data design. So where we can get them information from all the functional models, behavior model, everything, constraint, structure models, everything. Yeah, everything. But of course, this is about detail. So things like use case diagram, especially the use case description, activity diagram, they are very important, and also the class diagram. Yeah, masa ni you need all that information. Yeah, because you will have to create more detailed information from that. Alright. Okay, and also then we have one part of the interface design. Yeah, not about user interface only. There are other interfaces, as I mentioned last week. And semua perlu kan habis itu. Okay, but in terms of user interface kan, it depends. Sometimes the requirement people, they just put in the wireframe. Remember last time you have to do the wireframe. So meaning that the user or the client did not put any restriction on the interface. So they said you can use anything. So the requirement team has actually proposed some of the screen, the layout and everything, right, using the wireframe. So but you have to find out if there are anything requested, purposely requested by the client, like maybe there are theme color, yeah, maybe they want to have their logo as big as they like at the front page ke, we don't know kan. So you have to read the requirements, yeah, the SRS documents. Yeah. Okay. But if there are, then everything will depend on the expert that know a lot about the interface, or about who have creative ni lah kan, a bit high creative thinking sikit. So you can ask that person to do that interface design part for the user interface. Yeah, so it's better you can find out some people that can do it better, because if not, you can ask people for advice, like if you know someone who actually from animation course ke, so they are, most of them more creative kan, so you can ask for their advice as well. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now we go into the second part of the lesson today. So this is the 7 quality. Yeah, it's not about your quality attribute for the software. No, we're not talking about that. We are talking about the quality of the design that you produce, you yourself produce. Yeah, so what do we expect? What do I expect as a lecturer to see how you design, the things that you put inside your SDD, yeah, software design document. So number one is modularity. Software is decomposed into smaller pieces, meaning that in the document I can see that you able to decompose your app into smaller components, smaller items or units, so that from there you can talk a little bit more about it. Yeah, so I want to see how it can be decomposed, how well, yeah, you can do that, and then how you can actually relate the detailed information to that decomposed application. Yeah, so number two, performance can tell how good the performance of the software or some of the part that can be expected. So this is where we can see like the choices that you pick for your app. Yeah, because we have different platform or types of components or type of device or type of gadgets, right? So there are things like you have to decide whether you want to go for high cost, low performance, or high cost or low cost but high performance but low performance, a bit low performance. So there are the things that can actually affect your decision. So I want to say how well you can decide and see how good the application on the paper. We can see from the paper, when I read the paper, I can see that this is going to be good. This is going to work well. Okay, so that's for performance. And then number three, traceability. So I have something on the next slide, so I'll show you that. We have usability. Yeah, so whether your design document is going to be usable, or people can use it. So useful, not usable, useful. And also the diagram, is it working? Yeah, is it something that can be used? Yeah, so that's the other thing I see on your design when I assess your design document. Yeah, and then portability. So you have to provide the information because there are third-party softwares or any device that you use, so they are not yours. So you have to put in a little bit more information about that, how that developer can make use of them. Yeah, for example, if you want to use Google Map, you have to provide the API for the Google Map is better, or you can provide some link or reference to where they can get that API. Okay, so you need to provide more information there. And another thing is about the design document. Yeah, so if you have any, if you split your user interface, for example, because user interface is going to be thick. Yeah, when if you design if you focus on designing the user interface very detailed, so you have to take it out from the SDD and to see how can you provide that part that have been taken out from the SDD, how can you refer to that document. So that's part of the portability as well. Yeah, how you can move out the content of your SDD but still making sure that it still have relation to your SDT. So that's kind of portability as well. And then if you did that. Okay, number six is deployability. So if it's like that when the developer wants to build the software and then they want to employ or use that software at the client place. So what are the information that you have to provide to the developer to make sure that the when they put it when they implement the product, then it's going to work. So if you have any more information, you have to provide that, yeah, to make sure that it will be deployed easily at the client side. Okay, and then lastly is the maintainability. So the design has to be clear, the name, the diagram all has to be named, so that whenever you have to make any changes, then you know where to find that part, yeah, inside your document. So it's something like related to the how you can maintain your document and also the information inside that. Okay, so these are all related to the design that you put inside your design document. It's not about the quality of the software that you want to build. Okay, jangan salah faham, this is different. Okay, so these are the things that the details, yeah, so you can read this. So I want to show you this traceability. So if you still remember, I have introduced you the requirement traceability metric last semester, but you don't have to do it. But I don't really into RTM much. Yeah, RTM, we call it RTM. I like this one better. Correspondent metrics. Okay, correspondent matrix. So but of course this is just the template, so you can just see example of the code, yeah, dp1 for the design parameter, and then we have the fr for the functional requirements. So what happened was, yeah, it's actually a metric between requirements and design element, and to see whether you have actually because they are the requirements. So when it comes to design, did you actually do something about the requirements, whether you put in, you have consider all the requirements requested by the user inside your design or not. So if you did, then you can just put X. So what does X means? Usually people say X because they didn't do it, so they tick because they did that, right? So how about this one? What do you say? What do you think? Hmm? What does X means? Tak tahu. Anyone? What does X mean? Tak ada, tak ada. So it actually depends on you lah. If you want to put different symbol, it's up to you. But in this case, yeah, X means mandatory. Zero O means zero. O means optional. Yeah. If you can see down there, yeah, the notes down there. Yeah, mandatory, optional. Alright. So what good things about this correspondent, yeah, compared to RTM, it's more about traceability. But for correspondent, you can see it clearly, yeah. If you have not consider any of the requirements, then that table will tell you. Yeah, you can see in the row, the green one, yeah, in the second row at the top, from the top, yeah, it says that unimplemented requirement because there's no X at all. Yeah, so there's no X at all. Okay, and then we have another one where no requirements trace, potential gold plating. So meaning that the number 3, yeah, it's something that you have include, yeah, in the design, but it's not inside the requirements. It's not detected inside the requirement. It's not requested by the user, but somehow the design element was there. So we can say that it's gold plating. If you still remember what gold plating is. Ingat tak gold plating? Who can actually define gold plating definition? Apa maksud gold plating? Siapa ingat? Gold plating. Hmm? One of the requirement issue is to avoid, we have to avoid gold plating. What does gold plating means? Gold plating or gold plated? Ingat tak? Come on. Tak ingat. Ingat ke tak? Pernah dengar ke tak? Ni semua tidur ke apa ni? Dengar tak ni? Pernah dengar tapi kurang ingat. Kurang sikit tu apa yang diingatnya? Siapa yang ingat? Gold plating. Yes, addition of features that is not requested by the user. So usually the requirement people they actually put it in. Tapi dalam case ni design yang letak tau. Tapi the case when we did the requirement, there are cases where the requirement people, the requirement team that actually put it in. So if that happen, then design do it because it is requested in the requirement, then we cannot do anything lah. But if the requirement did not request it, the requirement team did not request it, but the design team added in, then we say gold plated during design phase. Yeah. Masa requirement dulu, it's during requirement phase. But if it's happened during requirements, then we cannot detect that as gold plated at this stage. Yeah. So itu akan memberi kesan yang ada kesan, akan ada kesan sampai ke akhir. Sebab when there is gold plated, yeah, issues, then there are risks where your client tak suka, they hate it, perhaps, yeah, maybe there are risks, yeah. So you have to avoid gold plated, jangan tambah tanpa diminta, yeah. Things like it doesn't have to have login, tiba-tiba you suka login, you put in login. Because why? Because I learned that whenever we create apps, we have to put login. Come on, kan? So kita consider that is gold-plated as well. Yeah. Okay. So addition of features that is not requested or not needed by the user, but added in by the requirement team, or in this case by the design team. Yeah. So be careful, you have to avoid that. So by using this correspondent matrix, you can actually trace that. Like I said, if that gold-plated issues happen because the design team put it in. Yeah. But if it happened before during the requirement, then we cannot trace that. So akan jadi dangerous lah sebab kita tak dapat trace awal. Okay. So this is a good example. Yeah, you have to read this, yeah, because they have given some of the requirements, and then dekat atas tu is the design decision that they make based on the requirements. So these are the good examples that you can use for your design. Yeah, but of course the best thing, it's better if you can use code. Yeah, macam ni dia just list out macam tu kan. So it's quite hard to find the origin of the requirement. For example, the UC mana ni yang diceritakan, so we don't know. So it's good if you can put some code there lah. Yeah, from the requirement, and then for the design also you code kan all the items. Yeah, hopefully you understand what I mean. Faham ke? Yeah? Something like coded like this one, yeah, on the left, yeah, FR1, FR2, DP1, DP1.2, 1.3, under DP1, DP2, so they have different categories. So for example, you have GPS, yeah, so DP1 is about GPS, so they are a small element or component related to GPS. So what are the things that they should put in? So you have to put 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 under GPS DP1.1.0. Okay, things like that. So macam ni kan dia dah campur straight je. So better if it's coded, ya, sebab senang nak baca, senang nak cari. Okay, alright, so yang ni baca. Okay, and then we go to the third part of the lesson today. It's design modeling. So this is very general, so you can read on your own. These are the things that you should do and you should not do. Yeah, ni simple saja, so read it on. I will not ask you in the exam course. Yeah, so this is guidelines. Yeah, guidelines. But when you're doing your design, it's better if you read the guidelines, so you know that you can avoid those things that you shouldn't do and do what you should do. Yeah, so there are two things here: 10 design modeling. Yeah, and then you have 10 general modeling guidelines as well. So these are not specifically on software design. It can actually be part of the analysis modeling during the requirements process as well. Yeah, it's anything related to modeling. So these are good advice. So read it. Yeah, read it on. It's a good read. Okay.